Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. Thank you for joining me for another Silmarillion Total War battle. Today I have, as promised, a 2 versus 3 siege for you. It's going to be both the Dwarven factions, Nogrod and Belegast. I believe there's actually 2 Nogrod factions and 1 Belegast. Against the Elves of the Wood. So, kind of lore-friendly, I suppose, except for the inclusion of Belegast. We have the Guard Realm of Doriath. And we've also got... ta-da! The Green Elves of Assyrian. So, some interesting dynamics here. The Green Elves certainly do have access to a decent amount of armor piercing. They've certainly got some tricks that the Dwarves will definitely need to fear. While at the same time, certainly the Dwarves of Belegast are very, very much capable, probably the most of any other faction, of standing up to that deadly Green Elven barrage from afar. And of course we have Doriath here as well to kind of form the meat and potatoes of this defending army. So, let's take a look at some of the army comps here. We'll jump right in to the battle itself. So, the first army we have is, of course, Doriath. And they're being played by Alexios. He's brought a catapult here. I think it's just one catapult. I've seen him bring 2 on a lot of occasions, but nope. Just the one. We have some campaign units here on the field as well. Wardens of the Gate. These are Hunter Javelins, and I think they've got 2-handed swords? Maybe I thought it was axes, but I think they do in fact have 2-handed swords after the fact. That's Green Elves. Let's stick to Alexius for now. Now from we have some Axe Guard of Region, looking like they are fully upgraded, as you would expect the defenders to be, given that they have extra money. It's going to be a nice little trading unit as well. I think that they're going to have no problem cutting through even some of the thick Dwarven plate, and especially on the Nogrod side of things. These guys can be pretty good at messing up mid-tiers, but that being said, a lot of Beast Hunters are going to trade actually quite nicely into such a unit. Over here we have some Axemen of the Girdle. They are throwing axes and light axe infantry after the fact. Oh, what do you know? We have 2 catapults. See, I told you he likes to bring 2. Donathan Mablung really just goes without saying how all of that armor-piercing damage and just damage in general is going to be really useful against the dwarves in this case. Got some more Axe Guard hanging out in the back here. More Wardens of the Gate for some closer range punch, I think. Yes, indeed, we have some Cuthalim. Honestly, not a bad pick. AP arrows, and they're really strong in close quarters as well, especially with that Relentless. They can use that to get close to some of those Dwarven phalanxes, and they've got the, not armor-piercing, the melee defense to avoid some of that nasty armor-piercing damage that will be coming their way. So, a surprisingly strong push unit. What else does he have here? Over in the back, we got 2 Warriors of Region, looking like they're fully upgraded as well. More Axemen of the Girdle. Another unit here. Oh, no, I thought that was Wardens of the Gate. But in fact, it is the Tyr and Lice Danen, so all of the big AP tools coming out today. I think they're AP in melee as well as with their thrown weapon now. I have to look. I can't quite remember exactly what this unit is good at. But definitely they have a lot of AP tools, either one or the other, possibly both, and that's a really nice pick there against the dwarves. Moving on up here, we have some Guildsmen of the Armories. These are some of the Mablung sort of sub-faction units. And they are maces, so nasty AP. More Guildsmen of the Armories hanging out right there. We've got some Guard of the Treasury, which are going to be using halberds, big nasty 2-handed axes there. And I think that's going to be it. Nope. We've got a unit of cavalry here, in fact. Court of the Grey King. Now, this is a unit that was made ages ago that we experimented with bringing to the multiplayer, but it made Doriath a little bit too much of a cavalry faction. But we, of course, did keep it for the campaign unit, so I can't quite remember exactly what it's good at. I'm going to guess, based on the spears, that it's probably got a pretty nasty charge to it. Whether or not it's armor-piercing, I honestly couldn't tell you. So we're going to move on now to the Green Elves over here under Tundra's Fox. So yeah, actually 2 really strong players on defense today. These guys are actually like top kind of tournament tier players. We have the Akarn and Tenuviel. From what I remember of this unit, I don't remember what it has for melee, but it's got like a split shot crossbow. So it's a small unit, but potentially very, very devastating. Moving on over here, we've got some Mythern and Tolgalen, as I'm sure we're all well aware. These are mace infantry, and they can really mix it up in CQB for sure. Over here we have the Dagnurum and Athrod and Enguth. Oh man, some of these names I can't even do. I can only imagine how tough it is for you guys. From what I recall, they are a two-handed axe unit. I think Dagnurum is like Avengers or something like that. So they're a shock infantry unit. I think they're more of a medium infantry. Potentially a lot of damage there. Urfin Tower. We all know what the Urfin Tower are about. They have some pretty good missiles, just not very many of them. Two-handed axes, and they are, of course, locked morale. Another campaign unit over here for the Green Elves. We have the Honor Guard of the Elder House. This is one of those units that they can eventually get by making nice with the Sons of Feanor. The details of that we're still kind of working out, obviously, as the campaign isn't out just yet. But yeah, heavy infantry. One of the few heavy infantry that they'll have available to them. And a few factions actually have this boar, I believe. Have that unit available to them as well. Got some Ents here. Ents in the new patch have changed a little bit. They're a bit more tooled towards being like a shock elephant unit, so they don't really have the same sort of staying power in close quarters. So their armor has gone down, their damage has gone up, and their speed and cost have gone up as well. So you can still expect them to reasonably, I think, be absolute monsters, but they will be able to be felled a little bit more readily. Scouts of Gellion hanging out up here. Really nice defensive unit. The Scouts of Gellion, especially in a situation like this, they can really do a lot of damage, especially against Nogrod. Spear Host of Gellion here, mixed in with, I assume, what is Hunters of Rathloriel, which are going to be harassment javelins. Moving on down here, we've got some more Hunters of Rathloriel as well. And then, who knows? Who knows what they could be hiding here? No, actually, we could see if there's anything hidden in there. So that's a big gap in the defenses right there. Spear Host backed up with some Hunters of Rathloriel. Some Dagnurum are going to be down here as well. And third unit of Dagnurum, Urfin Tower, more Mythern, and of course the legendary company in the form of the Ondo Hyondo. So a lot of AP here. A lot of very nasty... is that actually Baron right there? Oh yeah, it is Baron. What do you know? It's missing his hand and everything, Mr. Baron Camlost. Yeah, that's going to do for the defenders. Let's pop over to the other side of the field here. I'm going to kick it up to, I think, 1x speed so we can get this moving. And take a look at what the attackers are bringing. First Dwarven army we have today is the Kingdom of Belagos, being played by Caden of the Silver Wind. He's got the Flame Tower. Honestly, not a bad pick here, especially against the Green Elves in the relatively close quarters combat. I think that's actually a really smart way to get some value. Iron Arbalists can be hanging out front here. Looks like 1, 2, 3 companies of, and they're all going to be deploying their stakes. Wardens of the Emerald Throne. We have 1, 2, just 2 units, possibly 3. Nope, just the 2. Got some Iron Halberdiers as well, to the tune of, I believe, 1, 2, 3 units of. We've got some Horde Keepers of Gabble-Gathol, the unit that I forgot to bring to our showcase video because I am foolish. 1, 2 units thereof, and they're all in a shield wall formation, which is going to make them extremely hard to break down. Ember Guard of Gabble-Gathol are here as well, and looks like we've got 2 units of them. And we've got the Legendary Company, one of the 2 Legendary Companies that Belagos can bring, the Brotherhood of the Silvered Hammer, as well as the Dragon Slayers of Azagal. So some nasty armor piercing, not going to be the most useful as a stat in this particular instance, since there are some Green Elves on defense, but I'm sure it'll be not too bad against some of the more heavy Doriath units. Hi, Thanes of Gabble-Gathol, 1, 2, and I believe there's a general hanging out in here, and indeed there is. So there's the Belagos general. Is that it for their artillery? I'd be surprised if there was not more. Well, consider me surprised. All right. Moving on now to the Nogrod army, the first of, I should say, being played by Captain Gervais. Looks like he's brought the Legendary Company, the Treacherous Host, with their morale-shaking precursor javelins. They're also quite heavy, so it's going to be one of those few units in the Nogrod army that can really stand up to ranged punishment. Got a whole bunch of axe throwers of Nogrod here as well. 1, 2, 3. It's worth noting as well that they have an extra, I think, 20 range over other axe throwers, something I think I forgot to mention in our other video. So they are able to do their damage at a little bit of a higher range, but of course they are unshielded, and their throwing range is nothing on some of the bowmen that you're going to see on the inside there, especially those nasty Scuds of Galleon. Looks like there's 2 of them up there, so they're going to be the extras here. Easy prey for such a unit. Got some Beast Hunters in behind them. 1, 2. And then we've got 1, 2, 3 units of the Vault Wardens. What did I say? Did I not tell you that I think 3 of these are going to be the backbone? Good call, Jordan. Archers of Nogrod in the back. Looks like 1 unit so far. Some Stone Hewers of Tumunzahar. No armor upgrade on those guys. 1 unit of the Engineers with their Scorpions. A nice little melee cav option here, just in case the defenders decide to get fresh and bring out some cavalry of their own. Warlords of Tumunzahar. I think that's probably the General's Bodyguard. I'm gonna guess that it is. Yes, indeed it is. You can see that spiked horned general in behind him. 2 Wormslayers here, and they're going to have their armor upgrade, so they'll go up to 11 armor. Solid shield value, and they are, of course, Hunter Javelins. And we've got some Miners out here as well. 1 unit of Miners. Is that the only unit of Miners? Surprising. Surprising indeed. Moving on now to the 3rd and final attacking army. We have, surprise, the Kingdom of Nogrod, played by Hyperius Creon. I believe he's one of the newer players on the Discord. He's got some axe throwers here, forming the very front and center of his army, 2 units thereof. 1, 2, is it 2 or 3 bowmen? Looks like 2 bowmen, 2 miners, 1 here, 1 on the other side. Got some Vault Wardens, so we got 1, 2, 3, again, 3 Vault Wardens. I must have a crystal ball. Should have my own TV show. Anyway, moving on. Beast Hunters of Nogrod forming the sort of core of the army here, and Stone Hewers as well. 1, I believe 2 units of Stone Hewers. And to finish it all off, looks like we've got some Forsworn as the bodyguard, and a Treacherous Host here as well, alongside, another unit of Warlords of Tumunzahar. So a really nasty melee core to this army. I would say even much more so than the other side. Like, Rex has invested a little bit more into the Wormslayers, and I think he's only got 1 unit or so of the Stone Hewers and his own chariot, but no chariots on this side. Instead, he's invested a lot more into those heavy infantry. So let's go ahead and get this started. We might even turn it up a little bit, since it looks like there's going to be a bit of a lull here in the action while the Nogrod forces under Hyperius Creon move to completely encircle this little mining pit, which is interesting to see the Wood Elves defending, of all people. Perhaps they have taken it from the dwarves and they don't want it's not in my backyard kind of thing. They don't want those dwarves coming here and destroying their beautiful, wonderful landscape and lowering everyone's property values. Alright, let's go ahead, turn it up just a little bit here. It looks like Caden's going to stick his neck out a little bit here. Some of those Iron Arbalists looking to take point out front here, but I believe we saw that Alexius had some cavalry, so depending on where that cav is, he might be able to kind of punish Caden, I think, a little bit for this. So maybe he wants to get up there. I wouldn't blame him if he wanted to push forward and maybe take some shots at the Cuthalim as well. They're quite valuable. And having some of their HP scraped off by these little Iron Arbalists here is not exactly ideal. Let's go ahead and see what else we got going on here. Oh, it looks like we actually have some hidden cavalry here. What do you know? Alexios being very sneaky. Bringing out some of his Outriders of the Girdle. It doesn't look like Rex is going to see it in time. Or he might actually be too far away to really do anything with his Engineers. And so Caden is going to have to backtrack quite quickly. I don't think they're going to have much. Well, they might have some luck here getting into the Flame Tower. That's one of the few Belagost artillery pieces that doesn't actually have the spears. Oh, going after the archers here. Real nice hit there. Oh man, that is quite painful for the Nogrod player, losing about a tenth or so of his archers there. It's like one of these guys going to get clipped, and he's going to try and gobble up another one of these skirmish battalions, which honestly, not a bad idea, because then there's going to be no choice for Belagost rather than to just immediately push into melee, and that's where those catapults can be really used to some seriously devastating effect. They are able to kind of fire over lines. Let's go ahead and slow it down just a little bit here, just so we don't miss nothing. Those catapults are able, under good circumstances, to arc their shots over lines, so if the dwarves are really forced to commit heavily, that's where that offensive can really find itself blunted very quickly. So cut down now to 14. A fairly successful, I would say, raid, losing about 10 or so of them in return. Yes, very well done. Very well done by Alexios indeed. And now he's going to be able to get these guys relatively safely, having lost about 10 or so models there, back into the city, and they're able to basically hide anywhere. So that's going to be a constant kind of thing in the back of the attackers' minds, like where are those cavalry and when are they going to come out next? And Belagost in particular does have a lot of penalties against cavalry, so that's something that could, alongside the other Doriath cavalry that we saw, could really be used to kind of change the face of this game. So, some light losses early on, about 2% of the attackers. Not bad for the cost of 10 models. Nicely done on Alexios' part. Let's see what's going on over here. Axthors of Nogrod under Hyperius Creon. Slowly but surely plodding their way forward, which is not something you normally say about Nogrod. Usually they are quite swift and very keen to get on top of his enemies. But in this case, can't say that I blame him. There's a lot of nasty Green Elf tricks in here, and they have a tendency to hide stuff. Now, we know that there's no Green Elf units being hidden in here, but Hyperius has no idea. So, yeah, very cautiously moving forward here, not really wanting to kind of stick his neck out and find it lopped off by the Green Elves. That would be unfortunate indeed. See what we got going on over here. And it looks like a renewed push now from Belagost under Caden, looking to kind of take point here. And I think the Kuthalim have been pushed off. And they're going to be hiding out down here now. Yeah, there's not too many good targets here. And if they were to stick their neck out, the Iron Arbalists might be able to kind of focus fire them a little bit. That being said, I wonder where that cavalry has gone to hide. Okay, the Outriders of the Girdle on the move right now, so we'll see what happens with them. Caden just kind of getting himself into a position here. Not a bad place for a lot of these things to hide. There's really nothing that can shoot them here. No artillery, no catapults, etc., etc. And he's able to kind of jump on anything that tries to come out these ways through these very obvious and kind of telegraphed paths. Outriders of the Girdle just kind of hanging out here, but I would not be surprised to see a cavalry assault very suddenly take place here and go after Hyperius Creon. He does not have any anti-cavalry of his own outside of Beast Hunters, and his allies are quite far away. This is like the most removed army, so if I were the defenders, this is the one that, if I was going to be aggressive, I would definitely go for them and try and break them if I possibly can. Let's see what's going on over here. Nope, they're just hanging out. It seems like maybe they found a bit of a gap here in the defenses, so there will be some opportunity for them to undermine things. So looks like the Court of the Grey King were over here, just kind of standing guard, but let's see if there's any Beast Hunters in here. Well, this might have been a decent opportunity for that court to kind of go for these guys, but I think that might also be a general's bodyguard unit. I could be incorrect about that. And it may be that Alexios doesn't really want to sacrifice them, but Archers of Nogrod... of course, there are some Beast Hunters in here, and that is what is going to oblige these guys to be pulled back. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Let's see what we got going on over here. It's like a tiny little unit. Okay, that's going to be the Outriders. So they're actually outside the settlement now. Just waiting, kind of creeping forward. It's a great way to use them, since as soon as hidden units move in Medieval 2, you see them right away. You just kind of creep them forward and just let people forget about them. And it is something that can definitely work. Although Hyperius might be wise to Alexios' trickery here. And those Outriders now are going to be moving out. And I think, yeah, exactly. Hyperius knows exactly where they are, and he's going to try and screen them out here with some of these Vault Wardens. That being said, if they chase them too long and get too far away, they're not really going to be effective as a screen, so we'll see. We'll see what's able to happen here. Even if they threw themselves away going after one of the Stone Hewers, it might almost be worth it, given how much damage they could potentially do to a very expensive and very important unit here. But I don't think Alexios is going to throw them away. Having that cavalry in the back lines is too much of a strong advantage, and it really does force the attackers to keep things back to possibly deal with it. So it's a great way of kind of thinning things out. So we'll see what happens there. Nothing on the main front yet. I don't think Caden has moved in here. It looks like some of the Iron Arbalists have moved forward, and I wonder what they're going to shoot at. Axe Guard, maybe. Possibly go after the Wardens. If they could get the Donath, I'm sure they would. Might even be worth it just to send something small up here to try and deal with these guys. Just so that you don't have the constant incoming harassment. Looks like Caden's managed to have most of his army reach the walls here. You got some Ember Guard hanging out in the back, covering things, and we've got some Wardens. We've got still quite a lot here. So we've got all the elites and stuff hanging back for the time being. You probably want to keep them a little bit closer to your army just so that they can be used at a moment's notice, but I can understand the rationale there. So now this little flame engine is going to be moving forward, and let's see what they are able to get going. Doesn't look like too much else is going on over here. So the Vault Warden is just being used to kind of zone out the Outriders. Alexios now just probing, prodding, looking for an opening, but I am really curious as to what he's going to be able to get done with the Flamecaster over here. Here comes some of the Axe Guard pushing them forward. This will be a good opportunity for that Flame Tower to maybe shoot at these guys. I don't know if it'll have time, though. It looks like they do catch them, just barely. I think that's going to be it for those Iron Arbalists. But if this Flame Tower could shoot at these guys, they're kind of bunched up enough. Oh, Caden seemingly on the back foot here. Not too sure kind of what he wants to do. I'd maybe bring forward some of those Spearmen. They could certainly get the job done here. Oh, but it looks like the Axe Guard are going to be able to tag the Flame Tower. I doubt that they'll be able to crush the crew, because it looks like Caden's now going to be on top of it. Horde Keepers of Gavelgathol now moving forward to kind of intercept here. And there's some choices ahead of Alexios, aren't there? He's got, you can stay out here, you can try and fight it out, or you can try and retreat. Certainly, these crossbows are looking to maybe tear the throat out of this unit and do so quickly. You can see them already beginning to reload. So Alexios is definitely going to want to get these guys out of here, but it looks like... Ooh, what did he manage to do here? He committed into... Oh, the Forge Sworn. Oh, you sneaky, sneaky man. So it looks like he was going for an assassination attempt here on Hyperius Creon's general. Now, he was not successful and did lose a few troops in the process, but he also took down, I think, like 15 or so of the Forge Sworn with that charge, so nicely done. Looks like he managed to slip by the net here. I think probably we're going to see these guys just take a little bit of a rest for a moment, maybe. Stonehewers. It's hard to tell, and I'm a little bit curious why we don't see the Beast Hunters coming forward here as well, because they're a much better screen, I think, than the Pikemen. The Beast Hunters, supported by some missile units and things like that. It's more than enough to keep this one unit of light cavalry at bay. But we'll see. It looks like Hyperius Creon might get caught by surprise here potentially. But I just want to pop back on over to this side. Finally see what's happening. It looks like Alexios did pull back his Axe Guard. Took some marginal losses, and that's fine. Iron Arbalists moving forward here, and they're definitely going to get some beautiful enfilades. But I think Alexios is going to... Oh yeah, a little bit of a charge here. Anemic charge for sure. That's the Medieval 2 pathfinding certainly at play here. As he tries, I think, to get on top of those Iron Arbalists. But they're going to have an opportunity to wind up. And unless he's able to do this quickly, I don't think he's going to be fast enough. And they will get at least one volley off. But he is going to be able, I think, to ultimately penetrate this line here. So that charge should be a little bit... Ooh, yeah, some of those Sindar will get gunned down there. But that charge is actually going to connect quite nicely. Take down a few of those Iron Arbalists, and they're just going to be able to retreat. But now, I think... If Caden's quick about it, he should be able to maybe block the retreat. Oh, but the catapult has been brought forward here. Really nicely done. Very slick play here on the part of Alexios, kind of forcing the dwarves to maybe blob up or to chase this unit around. And that gives him all kinds of opportunities to go after the catapult. Now, Caden could just take the opportunity here to just go straight for that catapult. But that does kind of force his hand, and maybe he doesn't feel like he's quite ready to really try and take on Dordiath in this choke point just yet. But you got to hand it to the defenders. Doing well so far. They have lost, minimal amounts of units, and in exchange, they've managed to do a decent amount of damage here. So that's the... Yeah, okay, so nothing new has kind of happened yet, but he is really forcing Hyperius to spread himself maybe a little bit thin on the back lines there, just trying to block off all the opportunities that those cavalry might have for ingress into the back of his army. It looks like there's maybe a little bit of shooting going on here. Probably the Green Elves, almost certainly, and it looks like Archers of Nogrod here sparring with the Assyrian counterparts. Now, Assyrian kind of in a decent position here. They are very exposed on top of this cliff and lightly armored, so these archers are able to do quite a lot of damage to them. And you know what? That's kind of what these archers, I think, are here to do. And at the very least, they'll certainly eat up some of the ammunition. But I don't know, man. A lot of the Assyrian roster can be damaged quite easily by archers like that. So is it worth it to try and drain these guys of some ammo and effectiveness early on? I don't know. I suppose we'll see. What we got going on over here? Scouts of Gelion moving forward and getting enfiladed here essentially by the crossbows, and they've done a lot of damage to these poor archers. Oh my goodness, for basically nothing in return. So nicely done there on the part of Caden. I wonder what the plan here with Thunder's Fox is by moving these guys out. I mean, I suppose they don't have too many fast movers on the field right now. Ooh, what we got going on over here? Court of the Great King smashing into the Ember Guard of Gabble Gathol. Really just ripping the heart out of this unit. You gotta hand it to the defenders here. They know exactly what they're doing. This kind of aggressive defense, I think, is really important in Silmarillion, just because of the way our sieges kind of are, and like the dynamics between the units and so forth, and the lack of like real doomsday weapons to just like bleed attacking forces of their numbers. So really nicely done here on the part of Alexios. This is exactly how you want to play it. You want to be vigorous. You want to be active in your defense. So the other Ember Guard there, unit there. Ooh, they took some losses probably from this cavalry as well. Enfilading the Court of the Grey King, taking down one of them, but they do have multiple HP and they will be able to escape. Oof, nasty. Nasty stuff indeed. I'm going to pop on up here and see what's going on. Looks like the Nogrod chariots kind of leading the way. Maybe getting some shots here at some of these more medium/heavily armored campaign units, and that's going to force the Green Elves to mobilize everything else that they've got hanging out up here. This is no longer a safe refuge, so Captain Gervais has managed to kind of drive a bit of a dagger into the heart of the defense here, though that being said, he's quite a long ways away with the rest of his army, but it remains to be seen if this is going to be something that the defenders can really respond to. They're doing great down there on the plains, where they're able to use their mobility and use their position to really bully the other Dwarven players, but Captain Gervais has basically brought his whole army around their defenses, so that is really quite impressive. It looks like maybe there's some scorpion fire. I saw one of those kind of white blossoms of projectile that was firing maybe into the side of one of these units. So yeah, they're actually doing quite good here. And ooh, Hunters of Rathloriel, maybe they'll be able to get a shot off here against these engineers. Yeah, maybe he doesn't want to hang around for too long. So even those harassment javelins at close range with that volume of fire, they are going to be able to do a decent amount of damage to these medium chariots, and going to oblige Mr. Gervais to pull them back, get them out of the firing arc of these guys. So they've managed to kind of stabilize the situation here for the time being, but there's a big Dwarven army on its way to this single choke point. So we'll see how that turns out. Meanwhile, down here in the front, looks like Thunder's Fox soaking up a lot of damage here. These axe throwers now getting in to range. They might be able, or they're probably pretty close to the point where they can toss into the scouts, and that will cause those scouts to basically evaporate in seconds. So we're, I think, approaching a point over in the center where the dwarves are about ready to really kind of grind it out here with the Green Elves. So we've got more of the Outriders over this way. A few of them have fallen, but I'm not too sure from where or from what. I'm not seeing anything else, so maybe there's some missile fire or something that managed to take a few of them down. But the Green Elves are certainly ready and waiting for that eventual Dwarven onslaught. But kind of looking at what they've got here, Nograd's going to be able to cut through a lot of this very, very quickly. Now, the scouts and the missile units, they'll be able to really reap a toll from the dwarves as they move up this hill. But in terms of just pure melee damage, like that's a big problem, especially when you look over here and you've got another Dwarven army, another Nogrod army pushing their way up here. Moving forward with those heavier units are able to withstand the punishment a little bit more. Yeah, this is gonna be a fight for the defenders. It seems like it's kind of going their way for the time being, but I don't know how much longer that's gonna last for. What do we got going on over here? Some Worm Slayers of Tumunzahar. Looks like Captain Gervais is moving up here, probably chasing after, oh indeed, going after some of the heavy cavalry here. So really their avenues of attack being slowly but surely narrowed down. Dragon Slayers of Tumunzahar, I don't know if Caden's going to see it. Oh, if we get a nice little charge here, it looks like they will. So no general snipe for Alexios. He's going to be obliged to not get out of there before the Wardens of the Emerald Throne here open up with those harassment jabs, as they are already beginning to do. And that's taken down some of these very valuable models. So Alexios is going to have to get out of there and look for another avenue of attack. Now, there are quite a lot. If they have an armor-piercing charge, I mean, the High Thanes here, the Brotherhood, all of these are important units that can really feel the sting of an armor-piercing charge from a unit like that. So we'll see what they're able to do. So Court of the Grey King kind of stalking the other general's bodyguard over here. If they're able to get in and assassinate the general, that's a big, big win for the defenders, especially as you move in to the kind of later game. Like, it's worth noting that a lot of the Dwarven units from Belegost, they don't have perfect fatigue. They've got kind of that middling fatigue. Novigrad is different. They've got more, but Belegost definitely only has that middling fatigue. So as the battle kind of grinds on without their general, that could be a killing blow for that army. They're dead, they just don't know it yet. Pop over to this side, see what's going on here. Doors beginning to move. No, just some archers here looking for some opportune shots. Some of these scouts of Galeon seem like they just got routed. Not too sure from where, probably from the center here. It looks like the Nogrod's axe infantry, or the axe throwers rather, were able to sink their teeth into that unit, and now off it goes. Not too sure what's being shot by there. It's probably not being shot by anything, it's just kind of in the way. Stonehewers taking a real beating from those archers as they move in. 10 damage on those scouts of Galeon, so I guess the 9 armor of the Stonehewers, I like their odds. And indeed, they were able to cut down about a fifth of the unit here, so nicely done for them. The rest of these troops will be able to kind of make it into the relative safety of this little outpost here, although some more archers could be brought forward from over on this side to really give them the business. But we'll see if the Green Elves are able to capitalize on that or not. So far, Tundra's Fox he's able to sit back there and just kind of take his time with it. Let's see what else is going on. As Mr. Gervais's army finally arrived on scene here, it looks like they are. Now they're beginning to kind of skirmish with the Hunters of Wrath L'Oreal. There we go. There we are. That morale damage taken over. And these Hunters of Wrath L'Oreal really getting a taste of their own medicine here, aren't they? From the Treacherous Host. Not much they can do in return. All they can really do is try to soak up some of that damage. So this is looking like a precarious position here. So if I may slow it down just a little, this is where the majority of Tundra's Fox's army is, right? He's kind of caught between potentially 2 Nogrod armies. So this is a really difficult spot for him to be in. That being said, he's got some response here. Alexios is in close attendance. He's got some heavy units. He's got some Dagnerim down here that could be used to ambush any of these units. So any of the units that kind of move through this little choke area. And he's got some Ents up here as well. So this is a really nasty place for Captain Gervais as well. But Tundra's Fox, yeah, definitely in a precarious spot there. If things start to go wrong, it will go wrong very quickly and very precipitously. Over in the center, Caden's still taking his time. We've got some Ember Guard, what remains of his Iron Arbalists, and then I'd say they're taking some pot shots here at the X-Guard of Region. I wonder what ultimately became of some of these other units. Probably the Catapult has run out of ammunition. Horde Keeper's now moving in here. We've got some Axe Guard defending the siege equipment itself. You see some of these Dwarven units starting to get a little bit tired here. Horde Keepers doing their best. They are very, very sturdy, especially in that shield wall. But we can never really underestimate the amount of attack that the X-Guard of Region can bring to bear. Over here we got some Donath, we've got some Axemen. Now it might not be the worst time to maybe bring forward some of these Axemen. Possibly even to help out some of these troops. Ooh, some nasty Javelin fire down here. Really swinging things in favor of the Doriath Elves. Who do they got up there? Ooh, Wardens of the Gate. Perfectly positioned here to rain hell down upon the dwarves. They're really kind of taking a beating here, but it is still quite even in terms of the amount of defenders killed. Oh, another shot down here at the Flame Tower. Actually, you can see those heavy jabs do siege damage now, so they will be able to kind of hurt these things. So if they can put enough of those jabbies in here, I think they might be out now. Indeed, out come the two-handed swords. But if they were able to put enough of the jabbies in here, they could also destroy those flame towers. But as things stand, they've done pretty well, I think, at bleeding the dwarves of Belagos on this end. And you got to hand it to Alexios. He's been very vigorous, very active in his defense, and like I said, that's the way to go. Let's pop on over to this side and see. Oh, that's the other side. We've already seen what's going on over here. I want to see if Hyperius Creon has made his move yet. No, he's funneling a few more troops in here. And this is a really good time for maybe some of those Green Elven archers to be shifted over to this angle right here. It would basically be a turkey shoot. Easy enough for them to rain down death and destruction upon the dwarves of Novgorod, and just remind them that nowhere is really safe in this fortress. Meanwhile, over here, Guildsmen and Guard of the Treasury now moving up, and most of the rest of this Novgorod army has now moved forward. But it seems like maybe they're being a little bit passive here, or they're just kind of waiting for that opportune moment. Some miners actually have come down this way. What are they up to? This would be a great opportunity to maybe toss some bombs at these guildsmen, but they are kind of fencing in and like limiting the amount of space for maneuver that the elves have here. Some of the Guard of the Treasury getting chewed up a little bit here, possibly from the archers of Novgorod, raining down death from on high. And it's a bit of a slow, very deliberately paced game here. It seems like now attrition is starting to turn in favor of the attackers. Well, let's get some Galleon up front here. Not too sure what they're shooting at. Beast hunters, it would seem. Ember Guarder over here. Axe Guard from Alexios. Gonna chase a lot of these crossbows out of position, but Belagos is not fast enough. Not on those stubby wee legs to get away from Doriath Axe infantry. And it might be that they're able to kind of press the issue and maybe get in there and cut down a few more of them. This is maybe a little bit more of a tempting target, and I think Alexios sees that, and now he can just move these axemen in here. And if these other crossbows want to turn around, then of course we've got some green elves who can help out and lay down some suppressing fire. So nice little charge there from Alexios, going to get into the Ember Guard and start cutting them down real nice. Caden's going to see it, try and get his troops out of there. But again, it's more of a death by 1,000 cuts kind of situation here for sure. Hunters of Rathloriel have moved up here, and it looks like they've got lots of ammunition. So once things get kind of kicked off here, oof. Once things get kicked off, those spearmen are going to be well placed to toss their jabbies. Spearmen of Galleon pushing in here against the Stonehewers, just trying to buy a little bit of time. They're not going to win this fight, not by any means, but they will give Tundra's Fox a little bit of breathing room, time to either reinforce or to bleed the enemy dry with his Scouts of Galleon, which it looks like he is trying to do. Miners are in there, axe throwers, doing their best to toss upwards, but there's really only so many avenues for attack here. So a lot of that fire is going to hit the side of that cliff face. Starter's Fox relatively well positioned here to do some serious damage. Mythern moving in as well. And all seems quiet elsewhere, except for, if we pop on over here, it looks like Gervais is finally making his move. Everyone's trying to attack kind of at the same time here. Honor Guard of the Elder House being brought to bear with the Urfenden Tower. And it's kind of a bloodbath here for both sides. Looks like some of the axe throwers are moving in there to support the treacherous host. We've also got some of the stone hewers in there as well. Ents have now moved forward, and the guards of the treasury, what remain of them with their AP, are also here. Dagnirum as well, not something you want to underestimate. They can potentially do a lot of damage. Looks like they've got actually maces or something in there, so they might be armor piercing as well. I don't think so. That would be too much armor piercing for the green elves. But yeah, the green elves and Nogrod, I think, are kind of well positioned here to deal lots of damage to one another. But I think this would be an opportunity for the green elves to maybe shut down this push finally. That being said, I don't think this Ent's coming out of here alive. Not with the stone hewers and those pikes bearing down on him. But let's see if he. Oh, I see what's going on down here. He's actually moving down this direction, going after the miners of Nogrod. Gonna have no problem, I think, cutting through these guys. But things are really starting to kick off here. Doriath, a little bit of help here from the Ents, are going to hold the line, I think, fairly easily here. Whereas up in this area, now with the arrival of the pikes, I think it's a little bit more in the balance, unless we can see some more missile units brought to bear. The Akarn and Tenuviel are up here. Oh yeah, there you go. That split shot crossbow essentially deal a decent amount of damage to these guys. Moving on over this way. Let's see what we got here. It looks like Captain Gervais moving in to try and assist his allies in taking the center, sort of center lane here. It looks like finally the Court of the Grey King were stopped. Managed to get another piece of those arbalists there. Was it enough? I suppose we will see. Over here, Belagost under Caden finally making their move. Donathan Mablung being brought to bear. Oof! That fire, though, doing a good amount of damage here, but it's not going to be able to hit the Donath, not without being moved and repositioned. Oh, nasty! Oh yeah, I think the throwing axes here from the axemen. Oh yeah, this is going to be it. Down they go. For some reason, they're catapults when they die. I'll have to fix that at some point. Very nicely done. Basically, cut the effectiveness of that unit in half, completely destroying most of their ability to deal damage with it. So yeah, Caden may have to abandon that in fairly short order. Donath just beating these Horde Keepers of Gabble-Gathol to death. They're gonna have a pretty good time here, I think, against the dwarves. They got it really handed to Alexios with like very minimal manpower. He has managed to kind of hold the line here and really make the dwarves pay quite significantly. Looks like the wardens kind of got flattened, though, by that flame tower. That's not a good thing. Axemen at the Girdle now being brought forward, and there are still significant reserves who can be used. Oh, did I think they were the Kuthali? No, it was actually the wardens at the gate. The Kuthali were just fine. Sorry, they're both similar looking, and they have the same weapon. I'm going to pop on over to this side and see how things are going for Mr. Gervais. So he's managed to kind of push his way down the hill. So far, so good, I would say. Although heavy damage has been sustained for sure. That's only going to continue the more that the Akarn and Tenuviel are able to just kind of fire in here. The Ents just kind of hanging out. It looks like they were able to hold the line down here. The Dagnirum and the Guildsmen did their thing. More Beast Hunters being moved forward, and there's some Axe Throwers as well in behind. But I think these two kind of battles here, and then what we have at the front, that represents most of Mr. Gervais's remaining fighting strength. So if these kind of two big engagements here end badly, then that could be not so great for the remaining dwarves under his command. Honor Guard here really fighting hard, doing their best. Some Worm Slayers have now been brought forward. Not too sure what they're going to shoot at. Hunters of Wrath L'Oreal might have something to say about their presence here, and indeed they do. Is that going to be effective? Oh, relatively. Now there's more Dagnerim yet to come, so I would say that they've probably got this relatively locked down. I do like the defender's chances over on this side, but we'll see what happens. Moving on over here to the center, it looks like the Brotherhood and some Wormslayers here under Captain Gervais are able to kind of punch through this defense, and that's seems like it's kind of triggering a bit of a general retreat here from Alexios. So the Donathan Mablung have been pulled back. There are some Wardens here and some Catapult crewmen, as well as some light infantry to kind of run interference. And Belagost, all things considered, they're in okay shape. I think they've still got some Dragon Slayers over here. It looks like they're chasing off some Axe Guard. Got some Halberdiers, and I think he's still got a good core of his like elite infantry, like the Wardens and things like that. A few Ember Guard. He's not doing too bad. Gervais was able to punch through here as well. Warriors of Regia not having a great time here, though doing decently against the Warlords of Tumanzahar, certainly taking some of them down. Looks like the Donathan Mablung got caught here, and there's some Wormslayers as well that are raining down Hunter Jabs on top of them. Alexios sees that. He's going to charge in there and get a piece of those Wormslayers, and that's certainly going to hurt. Nice little cycle charging there with his infantry, which isn't something you see too often, but can certainly be effective. But that's going to basically be the death knell of those warriors, and now the Donath, I think, are going to be horribly outclassed here, just completely caught out. This is really unfortunate. It might even be worth kind of running some sort of rescue mission, perhaps. Kuthalim raining down destruction upon the warlords of Tumanzahar. Exactly the sort of unit you'd expect to be quite good against them. But they're not going to have long enough, I think, to really thin them out before they crash into the Donathan Mablung, who are very much in danger here of being completely surrounded. Yeah, things are looking pretty rough here. It's 51 to 41, so the defender's starting to feel the bite of the attrition. The big numbers disparity between both sides. Oh, I didn't know they can even get up here. That's pretty cool. Axe throwers using the terrain to their advantage, certainly. How are things doing over here for Mr. Gervais? Not great. Not great from the looks of it. So it looks like the defenders are going to have a little bit of a reprieve over here, at least. Treacherous Host somehow managing to come through this still alive. But this was just brutal. Brutal for both sides. Gervais certainly lost a good deal of his army up here and down here on this approach. And the Ents seem like they're still in relatively good shape. They're just cleaning up what's left of them here. So I think they'll be able to maybe take back control maybe over here. I don't think anything has happened. So the Green Elves still have a decent amount of troops. But of course, so does Hyperius. He's hanging out here, isn't he? I'm sure he's got some troops moving over this way and assisting in the assault over on this direction as well. And indeed, you can see, I think, some of his troops over here. Oh, nicely done. Those miners really just giving it to the warriors up there. Oh, nasty. Very, very nicely set up here for Hyperius. A lot of it is hitting kind of the side of the wall, but there is some damage certainly being done there to that heavy infantry. Oh, God, that's just so brutal. Hyperius moving in now with some of his upgraded Vault Wardens, and they're going to do pretty decently against these dwarves. Catapults from the, I believe, the other catapult crew being brought down to silence the Axe Throwers of Nogrod. There's also some Beast Hunters here as well, so I don't think these Axe Guard are going to be able to hold the line for too much longer. What we got here? This is with Kuthalim we're going to be hanging out. There's really nowhere for them to run here, and it seems like, okay, some light infantry, Axemen of the Girdle. This is maybe going to be where Doriath tries to make a stand. And down comes some more heavy Axemen, joining the fray, crashing into the rear of these Vault Wardens. If there wasn't these support units here, I'd say that this is absolutely decisive. Looks like Alexios is going to get in there and try and tie down the Axe Throwers as well. Hyperius will have the opportunity to retreat them if he needs to. Oh yeah, now they're going to get in there with most of their numbers. It's not going to go well for the poor Axe Throwers. Going to get absolutely blended up by these guys. Look at that. Brutal, brutal here. Alexios just running all kinds of interference. Again, very, very nice, very vigorous defense on their part. The Axemen really taking a bit of a beating up there. They're able to toss down now into the Beast Hunters. What remains of some of the Wardens of the Gate up here. It looks like, oh yeah, they're going to manage to rout off some of those medium Beast Hunters there from Hyperius. And they're going to rain down death and destruction upon the Vault Wardens, and some more troops coming through here, some victorious ones. Tyrion Lysdanen, fully charged, ready to go. Getting into the rear of these dwarves here. And at the same time, Hyperius isn't going to take this lying down. He's going to move up here with his Beast Hunters as well. Some Axe Thrower ammunition managing to kind of connect here with the Cuthalim. Very unfortunate. These Axe Throwers doing what they do best. The Flame Engine, what remains of it, being brought over this way. Some routing Beast Hunters flee cowardly from the field. It's hard to say who's going to win this. Are they going to win this just through sheer attrition? I think they might. I think the dwarves have the numbers to kind of see this through to the end if they keep trading the way that they have. These Vault Wardens now down to like 20. Dagnerum. Oh, nice little rear charge here by Tundra's Fox into the back of those Beast Hunters. That might be enough to kind of turn this fight around, but we'll see. They are very exposed down here, and there's a lot of Axe Throwers running around. Very tiny number of guards of the Treasury over that direction. Okay, so the Guildsmen managed to get rid of those pikes. Basically down to 6 men, so there's effectively nothing left of them. The miners over here not having a great time. Tyrion Lysdanen becoming the focus for the tender administrations of these Axe Throwers down here. And they're going to be able to get down, I think, in and dirty with it. But I don't know if that's necessarily what they want to do just yet. I don't think they've had a chance to use their ammunition. Warriors of Region now cleaning things up, hacking their way through. But the stream of Dwarven reinforcements seems never-ending. That being said, a lot of them are from Belegost. They are tired and kind of worn out a little bit. Wardens of the Emerald Throne, though, in very good shape. And this Flame Tower here. It's been real back and forth in this courtyard, for sure. The Elves have managed to kind of take it back. The Dwarves push back. And the Elves bring in some more reinforcements, but I think we might be seeing the defenders stretch to their limit here. Ooh, that Flame Tower had something to say, hey? Yeah, without the presence of that Flame Tower, I'd say that the Elves have a decent opportunity to maybe hold this square for a little while longer. No, that's the Ember Guard there, I think, shooting in. Yeah, and more missiles coming this way. And the Tyrion Lysdanen really don't want to be there. Now's maybe a good time for them to pop back up here. If they can, toss it maybe at the Worm Slayers or something like that. Get some more value off the projectile rather than just expiring in melee. See, we got the Wardens of the Gate up here. Cuthalim trying to use the last of their ammunition. I'm not too sure what they're shooting at right now. It looks like maybe the Treacherous Host. Okay, not a bad target for them. But I think the Cuthalim are maybe needed over here in this little scrum while they've still got some Wardens of the Gate that they can crowd around. So I would probably just throw them in. But they've got to be getting low, I think, on ammunition by this point. Really what I want to know is where the Ents are at. They're coming with the next wave of Elven reinforcements as the defenders desperately try to hold on to the square. Looks like these Scouts of Gelion are out of ammunition. Still some Honor Guard hanging out here. Probably want to bring them forward as well. I don't think Gervais has anything left over on this side. Did his job certainly distracting them. The Akarn and Tenuviel, not a bad time to bring them in as well. But just the presence of all of these Dwarven infantrymen over here is still enough to kind of keep Tundra's Fox on his guard and stop him from just committing fully and really just, giving everything he has into pushing the dwarves out in this center area. So we'll see what that final wave of reinforcements are going to be able to accomplish. We've got some Scouts, we've got some Dagnerum, and we've got some real nasty Ents coming in here as well. Oof, Tyrion Lysdanen really suffering up here. Let's see if they're able to take down. Oh yeah. If they can just connect with the actual artillery piece itself, they should be able to take it down pretty simply. Oof. Yeah, another hit there. Just a little bit more, guys. You can do it. Oh, so close. Maybe 1, 2 more volleys maximum. Come on, guys. I really want to see this go down, because this could basically undermine the entire defense that they've got here. Now they're going after some of the Wardens of the Emerald Throne. It's possible that this is out of ammunition. And it looks like the elves are going to manage to hold on to the square here. Yeah, they've held it. And the Cthulhu didn't even have to be committed to melee. Although I expect that they certainly will be now. Yeah, this might be a good time to just try and push out. Maybe let them come into this kind of more wide open area, so that they can surround them and still have access to these little ramparts up here. And we got over here Vault Wardens of Tumunzahar, Worm Slayers, a lot of things that the Ents really don't like to be involved in. Dagnirim are over here as well. Is that going to be enough to take down the Forge Sworn? I don't think so. Oof, yeah, now that these pikes are here, this is the last place I think that these Ents really want to be. This is like the big trump card. Like, losing them like this would be really, really unfortunate for the defenders. Like, I don't think that there's really any coming back from it. So, yeah, I think Hunter's maybe going to want to get them right out of here, if he can. Oof. Yeah, even pushing forward, I don't think, now that I see how many of these Belegost troops are, or the Nogrod troops rather, who are coming in, I'm not sure that holding the square is tenable any longer. Turn lights down and now clashing with the flame tower. Yeah, it's definitely out of ammunition. Halberdiers pushing forward. It's mostly like Belegost that's left at this point. They've certainly not been in the thick of the fighting for all that long. Whereas the two Nogrod armies really went on the offensive and really tried to push things forward, whereas Belegost playing more of a support role, which makes sense. But it seems like it's mostly Belegost troops that are left at this point. The Dwarves of Nogrod are relatively in shambles. Oh, a very healthy unit here of the Vault Wardens chasing down those Ents. Definitely don't want to let them hang out here for too long. Get some of those Dagnirim in here. Take advantage of this very disorganized formation. I'd maybe even throw the Ents over in here and help finish off these axe throwers if possible. What are the Cthulhu doing? That's what I want to know. Bet you they're down here in the thick of it. Nope. They do not seem to be. Honor Guard of the Elder House, what remains of them, all 15 moving over this way. This has just been brutal. Okay, still maintaining about a 10% lead here or so for the attackers, which is, I suppose, to be expected. They do have a whole extra army. Guildsmen fighting hard against the Forge Sworn, but I don't know. I don't think there's enough here. They'll manage to hold them off for some time at least, though. Well, I'm going to take a picture of that. Oh, yeah. That's going to be our thumbnail for sure. Scouts being kind of dealt with here. There's really nowhere left for the Tyrian Lystanen to flee. Don't know if they're going to be able to get out here. They're going to crash into the rear of some of these Worm Slayers, though. Might do pretty well at taking some of them down before they expire. Oh, doing very nice, actually. Cutting them to pieces, even. Oh, goodness. Wow, they actually might be able to just cut their way out of this encirclement if they're lucky. Over here, Treacherous Host now rounding all remains of the Green Elven infantry over here. The Ents, I think, coming through. Now, this would be a good place to put them, and I think Tundra's Fox sees that. So he's going to move in with those Ents, crash into probably the rear of the Treacherous Host, and do a decent amount of damage to them. They've certainly got the attack to do it. They are no longer armor-piercing, but their attack, I think, is like double the armor of these Treacherous Hosts. So let's see how they do. Not bad at all. Well, actually, I haven't killed any of them yet. Let's find out. Crank it up to 1x speed. There we go. Now that they've kind of saturated the lines, I'd expect these guys to drop pretty quickly. Well, they're improperly labeled as medium infantry. I'll have to fix that. Okay. Now all the pole arms have arrived, and there's still a good amount of missile support. I think this might be the end for the defenders here. They have done very well. You got to hand it to them. They have played this extremely well, but I think Belegost just kind of has the numbers at this point to make up for the admittedly horrendous losses of the Nogrod infantry. Again, boxed now by the Ents. Still some honor guard here going toe-to-toe with the Worm Slayers. I don't know if the honor guard really have what it takes, though. Yeah, there's not enough of them, and there's enough of the Worm Slayers to kind of overwhelm them. Down goes some of the Ents here, as they are quite wounded and a little bit less tanky than they otherwise normally are. Is that the Kuthalim? Oh, it sure is. I think this is it. This might be the end. No? Okay. Still some Green Elves over here. Akharn and Tenuviel not moving forward. Mythern. Okay, the very last of the Green Elven forces. It looks like Nogrod has kind of pushed their way up here. Appears Creon, you know, making his move. But it looks like the Green Elves very much have this in hand. Between the Ando Hyando. Oof. That's brutal, though. Painful, painful. Those miners actually managed to get in there, but it seems like the Green Elves will be able to crash into the miners and maybe silence them, at least for the time being. Ano Hyando being brought over this direction as well to try and hold things, and what remains of the Green Elves now falling back here. Oof, that's going to leave Doriath a little bit in the lurch. It looks like finally the attackers will manage to take this square here. Very nicely defended, I think, by the elves, but just wasn't enough. There was just too many dwarves. They really, I think, bled both the Nogrod armies dry. Ooh, what do we got here? These Kuthalim? Oh, they are getting caught, aren't they? Yeah, Warlords of Tumunzahar are in here. It's going to be a very glorious end for the Kuthalim, but I don't think they're going to last for too long. But yeah, you really got handed to the defenders. This was very, very bloody. Waves of reinforcements on both sides, constantly shifting for position. This, I think, is Silmarillion sieges at probably their best, and you're going to see a whole bunch more in the fairly near future, as I have mentioned. Although that video I don't think is out yet, but it will be out probably shortly after this. So I don't mind telling you that Barad Ithel is on its way, and that's being made by WK, so you know it's going to be freaking phenomenal. There will actually be 2 parts to that siege, so that's exciting, but you'll see more about that in a little bit. Kuthalim popping up onto the wall here, hoping to sell their lives very dearly. Look at this, just elves, dwarves on both sides, complete destruction. Some of the Kuthalim will manage to escape. That's going to force these guys to kind of fight them 1-to-1, which is where the Kuthalim, I think, are going to be more at home. Now, are they going to be able to stand and fight with that missile support? It's hard to say. Might take down a few more of these axe throwers at the very least. And now the final push begins. Here they go. The last of the dwarves versus the last of the green elves. Doriath has basically given everything I think they have. And I don't think Alexios is really on the field anymore. So I do have some Akharn and Tenuviel still here. Ando Hyando managing to chase off what remains of the dwarves. They might be able to make a clean escape. Nogrod, if anybody, is going to be able to get away from the Green Elves for sure. But that, I think, is their only real unit left. Maybe they've got some pikes down here. I don't know. Hyperius. No. Okay, so he does have a small presence here. But yeah, this is mostly looking like Belegost and small elements of Captain Gervais's army. Oof, yeah, what a brutal fight that was. Well, let's see how they approach this next part. High Thanes exhausted. Even against the kind of lightly armored and not very deadly Green Elves. Oof, nicely done there with those Akharn and Tenuviel raining down hell. get one more shot off. Oh yeah, they're going to take a few of them. Dragon Slayer's getting pew-pewed. Tundrous Fox choosing his targets well. There's a lot of troops moving forward. Mythern and Ents kind of forming the front line, while the back ranks try to pick off some of the best of the Dwarven army. Yeah, that would certainly make anyone think twice, I think, about approaching this Green Elven position. Arbalists here getting caught up by the Mythern. Looks like Yakarna and Tanuviel in the fight as well. They should have no problem cutting their way through those guys. I think the scouts, yeah, they've still got ammo. Who knows how much? Now the Ents are going to be forced to kind of move backwards. I'm sure some of the pole arms are now being brought to bear. Certainly the Dragon Slayers are something they need to be wary of. Let's see what these guys are able to do. Oof, yeah, they are kind of cutting apart these dwarves, even with their armor. I think they've got like 28 or something attack, but they are quite weak at this point. I think they're going to start to fall apart a little bit here without any sort of support from the macemen up there. So down a lot of them go. There's some crossbow fire, I think, moving in. Yep. And down come the Green Elves to try and support them, but it might be a little bit too late. Hythane's now starting to feel the wrath of some of those armor-piercing units in addition to those big Ent boots. Almost at a point where, oh yeah, the Ents are going down. I thought maybe the Hythanes would rout if they could keep that pressure up, but Yakarna and Tanuviel kind of being overwhelmed a little bit here. Oof, and there goes the last of the Ents. And this treacherous host. Where are we at here? 79 to 92. Oh, is that a rout? Nope. Caden's just going to pull some of them back and bringing forward now the fresh halberdiers. Some of them have been very heavily reduced, but not enough, it would seem. The last of the Green Elves are going to make their final stand here. Scouts of Galleon. I assume they're out of ammunition. Probably, most likely they are. They can get sort of a partial surround here on some of the halberdiers here once they commit. They might not do too badly. Dragon Slayers of Azagal leading the way against the Mythern. It's kind of exactly what the Doctor ordered in this case. They've got enough damage, I think, to cut their way through the this Elven bodyguard, mighty though they are. Well, we have some Spear Host here moving in to fight alongside the Mythern. The Mythern will help keep them brave, even while they're exhausted and outnumbered, but I don't think this is going to be enough. The Green Elves have kind of been split in two here. There's a lot of little halberdiers. Oof. One of those elves getting skewered by the treacherous host. Down he goes. Yeah, lots of support from the Emerald Wardens in the back there, and this is basically game over, I think. Very nicely done, though. This is a tough place to defend, and you gotta hand it to the defenders. I've said it way too many times throughout this, but I was really impressed with how they handled this defense. It really came down to just sheer attrition, and obviously some nice plays on the part of the defenders. They were able to get some really nice trades with some of their units, and they just a lot of the missiles that they have, especially the Wardens here at this late stage in the game. They were able to use them, I think, to pretty good effect against some pretty important targets. A lot of throwing axes really weakened those Kuthalim. A good deal of the Dagnirum were brought low by javelins and things like that. So it's just kind of the perfect mix when these two holds fight together of long, close-range punch, mobility, defense, offense. It's a tough composition to take down for sure. And a siege, I think, is where certainly many of the Dwarven units within Nogrod, some of them at least, pikes certainly, and basically all of the Belagost roster are going to be very much at home. So, gotta hand it to them. They had all the right tools, they made a lot of the right plays, but it really just came down to numbers, I think, in this case. I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to fast forward it here a little bit. Some more shots from probably the Ember Guard, I would guess. That looks like their projectile. Looks like the Mythern maybe trying to pull out of there. I don't know what the purpose of this would be. I don't think they're going to make it too far, and indeed they do rout. Looks like, oh, those miners from before who escaped made their way all the way around here. And now they've gotten into the back of the Green Elves, and that's going to be enough to completely crush their morale. And there you have it. Like I said, really well played game. Alexios and Tundras obviously know what they're doing, and you can really get a sense for both, I think, how sieges are going to play in Silmarillion, and it's in my opinion, it's more interesting than some of the sieges I've watched, where it's just, you know, endless kind of choke point grinds. Like, there are some choke point grinds, but there's also maneuver. We saw that a lot in the square in the center over there, and with the cavalry and stuff being used like very proactively to, you know, go for important targets. Now, there could have been a world where Alexios was managed to assassinate a Dwarven general. He tried real hard with those Lancers, and he got pretty close. But if he had gotten that, then maybe the Nogrod units from Hyperius, you know, they wouldn't have been able to fight for nearly as long as they had been. Because that's a big, big loss. But yeah, so you see kind of both how sieges, I think, are going to play out, and what the dynamic is going to be, but also like how the Dwarven factions play. I think it was very, very obvious, kind of, you know, that we've reached our goals, I think, for their playstyle. Nogrod was doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and then Caden was fighting that war of attrition, right? And then at the end of the game, he didn't have, like, he had a decent amount of stuff left, but a lot of those things were kind of like, you know, bruised, battered, exhausted, and things like that. But his Nogrod allies, there was basically nothing left of them. So I think it was a good display of the dwarves. Let me guys know if you agree down in the comments. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. Let's take a quick look here at some of the casualties. Akron and Tenuvio, only getting 87, but again, it's like 15 men in that unit, so that's actually not bad for them. Dagnirum and Afrad, they did decently. The Anokiando did extremely well, 216. He's got Sgelion. Again, those bowmen doing a lot of the heavy lifting. You know, almost 1,000 dwarves, I think. Yeah, about 850 or so dwarves there. Maybe even as close as 900. Taken down just by the bowmen. Irvin and Tower did not too bad. They did okay. I don't know if they made their money back. It depends, I suppose, what they were fighting. Honor Guard of the Elder House did well. The Ents did okay. And the missile units, again, doing not too bad. So yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I hope you join me for next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.